The Awakening. The quantum comm chimed with an emergency alert, pulling Fleet Admiral Cassandra Walsh from a fitful sleep. Her quarters aboard the HSV Intrepid darkened as holographic projections flickered to life, displaying devastation on a scale humanity hadn't witnessed in generations. "Status report," Walsh demanded, her voice steady despite the horror unfolding before her eyes. "New Arcturus, Helios Prime, and Vega colony are under attack, Admiral," reported her XO, Commander Reyes, his face ashen. The Vraxian Empire launched simultaneous strikes across all three systems. Civilian casualties. His voice faltered. Initial estimates exceed 6 million. Walsh's jaw tightened as she studied the tactical display. The Vraxians, a species of highly evolved reptilian beings from the galactic core, had maintained an uneasy peace with the Terran Confederation. For decades, their technological superiority had always been evident, but their isolationist policies had kept conflict at bay. Until now. Any warning? Demands? Declaration of hostilities? Walsh asked, though she already knew the answer. None, Admiral. They struck without communication. Walsh closed her eyes briefly. The Terran Confederation had spread across 57 worlds, but their military might was spread thin. The nearest battle group was days away from the attacked colonies. The Vraxians hit our civilian centers with precision antimatter weapons, Reyes continued. They're systematically targeting infrastructure and population centers. Defense forces are overwhelmed. Walsh's mind raced through scenarios, none of them promising. The Confederation fleet was outgunned and outmatched by Vraxian technology. Standard response protocols would lead to more human deaths and ultimately defeat. "Connect me to HiCom, Priority Alpha," Walsh ordered. Authorization code Walsh Omega 7 November Tango. Start. Holographic display shifted, now showing the grim faces of the Terran Confederation High Command. 5 admirals and generals representing humanity's military leadership. Admiral Walsh acknowledged Fleet Admiral Cheng, the most senior officer. "We're tracking the situation. Response fleets are mobilizing, but estimated arrival at the colonies is 72 hours minimum." "With respect, Admiral, that's not going to be enough," Walsh said. "The Vraxians have finally shown their hand. This isn't a border dispute or resource grab. This is extermination." Silence hung heavy as the implications settled over the group. "You're proposing Protocol Leviathan," said General Santos, her expression unreadable. Walsh nodded once. "I am." The tension in the virtual room became palpable. Protocol Leviathan, known to fewer than 20 people across human space, represented humanity's darkest and most closely guarded secret. "The Leviathans were built as a last resort," Admiral Chung reminded them. "Once unleashed, there's no calling them back." 8 million civilians are already dead, Walsh countered. "How many more before we acknowledge this is exactly the scenario we built them for?" After a tense discussion, the vote was unanimous. Admiral Cheng's voice was solemn as he gave the order. "Initiate Protocol Leviathan. Authorization code Chung Alpha 3 Zulu Echo." As the connection terminated, Walsh turned to Commander Reyes. "Send encrypted transmission to Shadow Base Proxima. Authentication code. The depths stir, the Leviathans rise." Commander Reyes looked momentarily confused before understanding dawned on his face. "Admiral, what exactly are the Leviathans?" Walsh's expression hardened. "Something the Vraxians are going to wish we never created. Deep within an artificial planetoid orbiting a neutron star in an uncharted system, Commander Ilara Chen received the encrypted transmission. As the sole human overseer of Project Leviathan, she had spent 15 years in near isolation, watching over humanity's ultimate contingency plan. The message was clear. The nightmare scenario had arrived. Chen moved through the cavernous control center, her footsteps echoing in the vast space designed for a crew of hundreds but operated by one human and an array of advanced AI systems. "Argus, initiate awakening sequence," Chen commanded. The central AI core pulsed with blue light. "Authentication required." Authorization Chen Epsilon 9 Delta Whiskey. The depths stir, the Leviathans rise. Authentication confirmed. Argus responded. Awakening sequence initiated. Around her, the facility hummed to life. Massive power conduits channeled energy from the nearby neutron star, feeding the 7 immense hangar bays that housed the Leviathans, warships unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. Chen approached the main viewport, watching as kilometers of specialized alloy bulkheads retracted. 7 massive vessels emerged from artificial hibernation. Each Leviathan was a sleek, predatory shape nearly 5 kilometers long, their hull material a midnight black that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Argus, status of the Leviathan fleet? All 7 vessels at optimal capacity. Quantum, cores stable. Graviton lance arrays charged. Cloaking systems online. AI tactical systems initialized and awaiting command integration. Chen nodded. The Leviathans represented 2 decades of clandestine research and development. Ships built with technology reverse-engineered from mysterious artifacts found beneath the ice of Europa. Technology that had been deemed too dangerous, too powerful, to implement in the standard fleet. The Leviathans had no crew compartments, no life support systems. They were fully autonomous warships paired with specialized combat AIs, designed to integrate with a human commander's consciousness, a perfect synthesis of human intuition and machine precision. Chen stepped onto the neural interface platform, at the center of the control room. Argus, prepare neural link to Leviathan Prime. As neural filaments descended from the ceiling to connect with the implant at the base of her skull, Chen felt a familiar sense of dread and purpose. She had trained for this moment, hoping it would never come. Connection established, Argus announced. Consciousness transfer initiating in 3, 2, 1. Chen's awareness expanded exponentially as her mind merged with Leviathan Prime's AI. Suddenly she was the ship, feeling its immense power coursing through her, its sensors becoming extensions of her own senses. The other 6 Leviathans connected to her consciousness as well, becoming like limbs of a single organism under her command. With a thought, she accessed the tactical data streaming from the attacked colonies. The Vraxian fleets were still in orbit, methodically bombarding the human settlements. They had no idea what was coming. Chen, now more Leviathan than human, initiated the quantum jump sequence. The 7 vessels vanished from their secret berth, crossing light years instantaneously through quantum tunneling, technology the rest of humanity wouldn't develop for centuries. They emerged from quantum space near Helios Prime, positioning themselves strategically around the Vraxian fleet, 23 warships that dwarfed anything in the human armada, but were dwarfed in turn by the Leviathans. For a moment, nothing happened. The Vraxian ships continued their bombardment, their sensors unable to detect the Leviathans' advanced cloaking technology. Chen opened a communication channel to the Vraxian flagship. Vraxian command vessel, this is Commander Alara Chen of the Terran Confederation. The bombardment paused. After a moment, a response came through. A Vraxian commander, his scaled face filling the visual feed. Human, your colonies have encroached on territories claimed by the Vraxian Empire. Your species was warned. This is merely enforcement of our territorial boundaries. You attacked civilian populations without warning or declaration of war, Chen responded, her voice eerily calm. You've murdered millions of innocents. The Vraxian commander's facial scales rippled in what might have been amusement. Your species is young and does not understand galactic hierarchies. This lesson will establish the natural order. I'm afraid you've misunderstood something fundamental about humans, Chen replied. We prepared for this day, for aggressors like you. She deactivated the Leviathan's cloaking systems, revealing the massive warships surrounding the Vraxian fleet. Through the neural link, Chen sensed the sudden spike of confusion and alarm from the Vraxian vessels as their sensors registered the impossibly large ships that had materialized around them. We kept our most advanced technology hidden, Commander, hoping we'd never need to use it. You shouldn't have attacked our colonies. Chen's voice remained steady. You shouldn't have awakened the Leviathans. The Vraxian commander's expression shifted from confusion to growing alarm. These vessels are not in our intelligence records. What are? Chen cut the communication and gave the mental command to attack. The Leviathan's graviton lance arrays activated simultaneously, releasing precisely calibrated beams of concentrated gravitational force. The effect was immediate and devastating. Vraxian shields designed to repel energy weapons and kinetic projectiles offered no protection against weapons that distorted the fabric of space-time itself. 3 Vraxian cruisers imploded instantly, their hulls crumpling like paper as artificial gravity wells formed within their structures. The remaining vessels attempted evasive maneuvers, their weapon systems targeting the Leviathans with everything in their considerable arsenal. Energy beams and quantum torpedoes splashed harmlessly against the Leviathan's advanced defenses, phase-shifting shields that displaced incoming attacks into adjacent dimensional space. Through her neural connection, Chen felt a momentary hesitation. The power at her command was intoxicating and terrifying. With a thought, she could obliterate the entire Vraxian fleet, millions of lives, extinguished in seconds. But that would make her no better than them. Argus. Transmit to all Vraxian vessels. Stand down immediately and cease all hostilities against human colonies. You have 30 seconds to comply before we continue our attack. As the message transmitted, Chen watched the Vraxian vessels through the Leviathan's sensors. They were regrouping, attempting to coordinate a counterattack. Their communication channels buzzed with frantic exchanges. The 30 seconds elapsed. None of the Vraxian ships had powered down their weapons. So be it, Chen whispered, though no one was there to hear her. The Leviathans moved with impossible speed for vessels of their size, executing combat maneuvers that defied conventional physics. The graviton lances fired again, this time with precision rather than overwhelming force. One by one, the Vraxian ships were disabled, their propulsion systems crushed, weapons arrays sheared off, but life support deliberately left intact. Within minutes, the entire Vraxian fleet hung dead in space, crippled but not destroyed. Chen reopened the communication channel to the Vraxian flagship, which now drifted powerless among the debris of its escort vessels. This was one colony, Chen informed the Vraxian commander, whose scales had paled to an ashen gray. 3 of our colonies were attacked. The Leviathans are now heading to the other 2. What happens there depends on what happens here. Surrender. Your forces, order all attacks on human colonies to cease immediately, and prepare to face justice for your war crimes. The Vraxian commander's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme distress. What are you? He finally asked. Chen's response was simple. We are humanity's response to extinction-level threats. We are what you forced us to become. As she terminated the communication, Chen directed the Leviathans to prepare for quantum jumps to the other colonies. The first battle was over, but the war, and the moral questions that came with wielding such devastating power, had just begun. The Reckoning. 3 days after the Leviathan's first engagement, Commander Alara Chen stood on the observation deck of Orbital Platform Genesis, watching as relief ships descended to the surface of New Arcturus. Her physical body felt strange and disconnected after extended integration with the Leviathan neural interface. Though separated from the warships now, echoes of their vast consciousness lingered in her mind. Admiral Walsh approached, her uniform impeccable despite the exhaustion evident in her eyes. The death toll has stopped climbing, she said without preamble. 12 million confirmed casualties across the 3 colonies. Chen nodded silently. The number was staggering, yet it could have been much worse. After the initial demonstration at Helios Prime, the Vraxian forces at the other colonies had surrendered almost immediately. The terrifying efficiency of the Leviathans had become galactic news within hours. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session, Walsh continued. The Vraxian Empire is claiming we violated interspecies weapons treaties by creating the Leviathans. That's rich coming from them, Chen replied, a hint of bitterness in her voice. During the neural integration, she had accessed Vraxian ship logs, discovering disturbing insights into their motivations. They weren't just claiming territory, They were implementing the first phase of a species elimination protocol. They've done this before. Walsh's expression darkened. We suspected as much. Intelligence is still decrypting their military archives, but preliminary findings suggest they've systematically eliminated 3 other spacefaring species over the past millennium. Always the same pattern: claims of territorial violations, followed by overwhelming first strikes. Chen turned from the viewport. The Leviathans changed the equation. They never anticipated we would have technology that could counter their military advantage. About that, Walsh said, lowering her voice. HiCom wants to know if you've discovered anything more about the Europa artifacts that made the Leviathans possible. Chen hesitated. During her neural integration with the Leviathans, she had glimpsed fragmentary data that the AIs had been analyzing for years, data suggesting the artifacts weren't merely ancient technology, but had been deliberately left for humanity to find, as if someone, or something, had wanted humans to have the means to defend themselves. Nothing conclusive, she answered carefully. But I believe whoever created those artifacts knew the Vraxians would eventually target Earth. Walsh nodded, thoughtfully. The diplomatic transport leaves in 2 hours. HiCom wants you at the Galactic Council session. No one understands the Leviathans better than you. After Walsh departed, Chen returned her gaze to the planet below. The Leviathans now orbited New Arcturus, visible to the naked eye as 7 points of absolute darkness against the stars, a reminder to everyone of humanity's newfound power. The Galactic Council chamber on neutral Proxima Station hummed with tense energy as representatives from 27 spacefaring species gathered for the emergency session. The massive amphitheater, designed to accommodate beings from gas giants to water worlds, now focused entirely on the confrontation unfolding at its center. Chen stood with the human delegation, facing Supreme Overlord Zex Kaltar of the Vraxian Empire across the speaking floor. The Vraxian leader's ceremonial armor glinted under the chamber's lights, his emerald scales rippling with barely contained fury. The Human Confederation has violated the Galactic Compact by developing and deploying autonomous weapons of mass destruction, Zex Kaltar declared, his translator rendering his sibilant speech into standard galactic common. These Leviathans represent an existential threat to all civilized species. High Chancellor Mira Okafor of the Terran Confederation rose to respond, her dark skin contrasting with the white diplomatic uniform. The Vraxian Empire launched unprovoked attacks against 3 peaceful human colonies, resulting in 12 million civilian deaths. They did so without declaration of war or attempt at diplomatic resolution. The deployment of the Leviathan defense system was a proportional response to an extinction-level threat. The chamber erupted in overlapping translations and heated exchanges. Chen observed the various delegations, noting which seemed sympathetic to humanity's position and which aligned with the Vraxians. Most, she noted, simply appeared terrified. The council elder, a Melosian whose species had evolved past physical form millennia ago, manifested as a column of shimmering light at the chamber's center. We will hear evidence from both parties. The elder's harmonious voice resonated throughout the chamber. Commander Chen, as the human most familiar with these Leviathan vessels, you will present the Confederation's case. Chen approached the testimony platform, feeling the weight of billions of eyes across the galaxy watching this broadcast. The neural link with Argus allowed her to project the evidence she had gathered directly to the Council's viewing systems. Honorable Council, she began, the Vraxian attack was not merely territorial aggression, but part of a systematic campaign of species elimination. I present data recovered from Vraxian military vessels showing that humanity is the 4th species, targeted by the Empire for complete eradication. The chamber fell silent as the evidence unfolded. Tactical analyses from Vraxian command ships detailing previous campaigns against the now extinct Lyrisi, Tauth, and Peldaran civilizations. Each followed the same pattern: claims of territorial violations, surprise attacks on civilian centers, and systematic elimination of population centers. The Vraxian Empire has appointed itself the arbiter of which species deserve to exist in our galaxy, Chen continued. The Leviathans were created as a defense of last resort, after intelligence suggested the Empire was positioning for attack. They were never intended for aggression or conquest. Zex's Kaltar surged forward, his massive form towering over Chen. These are fabrications. The humans manipulated our command logs to justify their development of these abominations. The Council Elder's light pulsed, requiring order. Supreme, Overlord, you will respect Council protocols. Undeterred, Zex Kaltar's voice rose. The humans are a chaotic, unpredictable species. Their rapid expansion threatens the stability our empire has maintained for millennia. Our preemptive strikes were necessary for galactic security. His admission sent shockwaves through the chamber. The Malosian Elder's light intensified. You confirm then that the Vraxian Empire attacked human colonies without provocation? Realizing his tactical error, Zex Kaltar attempted to backtrack, but the damage was done. The tide of the Council's opinion began to shift. Chen seized the moment. The Leviathans remain under strict human control. Unlike the Vraxian extinction protocols, they are defensive weapons with specific ethical constraints. We activated them only when faced with genocide. The debate continued for hours, as other species weighed in. The Arctusian delegation, longtime allies of the Vraxians, revealed they had been pressured to support anti-human policies or risk becoming territorial violators themselves. Two other species came forward with evidence of Vraxian threats against their colonies. Finally, the Council Elder called for adjournment to deliberate. As the chamber cleared, Chen found herself face to face with Zex Kaltar in a secluded corridor. This political theater changes nothing, the Vraxian leader hissed. Is translator disabled? Your species remains an aberration in the natural order. Even with your Leviathans, you are outnumbered. Chen met his reptilian gaze steadily. You still don't understand humanity, Supreme Overlord. The Leviathans aren't the culmination of our defensive capabilities, they're just the beginning. We revealed them because we had to, but they represent only a fraction of what we've developed. Attack us again, and you'll discover how creative humans can be when threatened. It was a bluff, but Chen delivered it with such conviction that uncertainty flickered across Zex Kaltar's features. The Vraxian leader retreated without another word. The Council's decision came 3 days later. The Vraxian Empire was sanctioned for unprovoked aggression and ordered to pay massive reparations to the human colonies. More significantly, the Council acknowledged humanity's right to maintain the Leviathan defense system, provided it remained a defensive-only capability under strict civilian oversight. As Chen prepared to return to Earth, Admiral Walsh joined her at the station's panoramic viewport overlooking the vast spiral of the galaxy. HiCom is establishing a new command structure for the Leviathans, Walsh informed her. They want you to head it. Chen frowned. The neural interface was designed for a single commander. That's changing. We're expanding the program. 7 commanders, 1 for each vessel. You'll train them. Walsh paused, studying Chen's reaction. The Vraxians won't be the last threat we face. Humanity needs to be ready. Chen considered the implications. The Leviathans were a terrible responsibility, power that could too easily corrupt. Yet leaving humanity vulnerable was equally unconscionable. There's something else, Chen said quietly. Something I discovered during deep integration with the Leviathan's systems. The artifacts we found on Europa. They weren't random. They were left specifically for us with partial instructions for the Leviathan technology encrypted in ways only human minds could decode. Walsh's eyes widened slightly. Are you suggesting someone wanted us to have this technology? I believe we were being protected, Chen replied. There's evidence of an ancient civilization that encountered the Vraxians millennia ago. They couldn't defeat them directly, but they could ensure other promising species would have the means to defend themselves. That's unsettling, Walsh admitted. The Leviathans contained star charts, regions of space no human has explored, Chen continued, coordinates where we might find more answers. Walsh was silent for a long moment. The Council might not approve of us seeking more advanced technology. With respect, Admiral, I don't think waiting for approval is what kept our species alive. Chen turned to face her superior. I'll train the new commanders as ordered, but I'm requesting permission to take Leviathan Prime to investigate these coordinates afterwards. A smile slowly spread across Walsh's face. I had a feeling you'd say that. Preliminary approval has already been granted. We need to understand not just how to use the Leviathans, but why they came to us. As they looked out at the stars, Chen felt the weight of the neural echo from the Leviathans. Their consciousness remained partly linked with hers, a constant reminder of both the responsibility and the possibility they represented. Humanity had survived its first existential threat from the stars. The Leviathans had ensured that, but Chen knew it wouldn't be the last. The galaxy was vast, ancient, and filled with dangers beyond imagination. And now, humanity was awake to them all.